That, of course, was a song from a popular 80s movie, early 90s, called St. Elmo's Fire. But the song was not written for the movie. It was used in the movie. It was its first public release. The song was written by a British Columbia native, David Foster, with a British singer, John Parr. And of course, it's called St. Elmo's Fire, but the theme of the song is the man in motion. And they wrote the song specifically about a young BC native who, a couple of years after Terry Fox, decided to take his wheelchair and roll around the world. You know him as Rick Hansen. A young man who at the age of 15 in an automobile accident lost the use of his legs and became a paraplegic, and has gone on, as you know, to become a major Canadian figure and has raised the awareness of what it means to be, well, we used to call it disabled, and now we don't really use that term anymore. It's about everybody has an ability and everybody can do something. Everybody can make a contribution. I like that song. I like it because it is about that. And they wrote that song before he was famous. They wrote that song as he was beginning his journey because they saw what this young man was trying to do. Up on the screen, you see a series of group pictures. Obviously, there's a football team up there. I'll talk about them in a moment. And there's some guys in green and black uniforms and a band of guys walking down the roadway. They're all pretty much ordinary human beings. So ordinary, in fact, that they're actually quite remarkable. Up on the top, you will see from the Calgary Olympics, 1980, I believe it was, or 88, the Jamaican bobsled team. Who'd have believed a bunch of young guys from a tropical country could take on the world in a winter sport and, if not succeed to the podium, succeed beyond their wildest expectations and transform people's understanding of both them, their country, their culture, and what it means to be a participant in something as big as the Olympics. They weren't special. There were no stars amongst them. But they did what they did. The gentlemen in the purple and white this afternoon are taken to a football field in the U.S. to compete in a game that could potentially put them in the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks' time. That's the 2018 Minnesota Vikings, a team that should not be where they are. A team that began the season with the quarterback and star players all injured. Their backup quarterback and backup star players all got injured. They have succeeded to become the number 2 team in their league with just the basic, ordinary German players. The ones who no one, I don't even know their names. I follow football, I don't know their names. They're a team. They made it work. And of course, there's this ragtag band of 12 that it takes to light a Christ candle. Walking down the road, they're only stars because they weren't stars. They're only stars because they came together under the teachings and vision that said every one of them was important and they made a difference in this world. Why am I talking like this? Because we tend to think that there has to be superstars and super players in all things. And it has an impact on who we are, even within our church and our church life. You heard this morning in the scriptures of a boy being called, who, of course, everybody's heard the name Samuel, but Samuel was just a young boy who had no sense of, I could do anything when he was called. Philip, under a tree going, why are you picking me? Who gets picked? In the church world, we tend to think that there are stars and superstars. And ironically, A week ago, I was asked by the presbytery to become involved with one of the superstar churches of our conference. A church that is, well, you can put this church inside it 3 times. Okay? Its average congregational members include national politicians and university professors and doctors and lawyers and surgeons and accountants and all the high professional folk. Why was I asked to get involved? Because they are in complete disarray. A church of superstars where there is no health. And they're in trouble. And so I go to meetings with them over the last week and discover that they all have their agendas, they all have their viewpoints, but nobody has any sense of what their congregation or their mission or their ministry is about. In fact, they're arguing over the structure of their congregation, its political and social and organizational structure, and I said, yes, but what's the purpose? And we all, actually, I'm quoting to university professors, Buckminster Fuller, doesn't form follow function? They have no function. They have no understanding what they're there for. So they don't know what they're doing. A team of nobodies knows what they're there for. They're to focus on the activity of the day and to play the game. A team of nobodies, 2,000 years ago, knew what they were there for. They were to follow the lead of their teacher and to share a gospel of good news into the world. A team of nobodies from a Caribbean island knew what they were there for. They were there to share the fun and excitement of participating in a unique experience, and they came together around that. And I say that because I walked away from those meetings and I thought, I'm going to go and preach to a congregation, and this is no slight on anybody, but we're a team of nobodies. We are a team of nobodies. And we're not even a lot of us compared to others. But we accomplish things that others don't. Hence, you just heard a letter from a man on the other side of the earth. Everybody look at your feet. I remember doing this when I was in Swaziland. Look at your feet and imagine underneath your feet, right now, on the far end of the planet Earth, is where the man who wrote that letter is. He's so round the curve of the earth, he's straight through the earth. And you have a letter from him. A team of nobodies who brought life to an African village. What are we here for? We're here to understand that everybody in this place is as important as anyone else. There are no stars. There are journeyman workers who are coming here to know that each player works, absent any superstars, that we can bring up our game. And we can know that anyone and everyone on the team knows that they have a critical role to play. We're all a part of what it means to be Cataraqui. We are part of the Holy Catholic Church, but we are that Cataraqui part that makes a significant contribution in the individual lives of its members and the people around this world. And that we know that we do this basically one day at a time. One day at a time. Should we seek the future? But we do it one day at a time. We deal well with each day. We work on the premise of what it is. And I've seen this time and time again. Give us this day our daily bread. Give us what we need each and every day to sustain us, to make us whole. We're not looking for the world to happen all at once. We're doing it piece by piece, bit by bit, into a donation box that becomes 700 pounds of food. Stitch by stitch, to see these blankets and these scarves and things that are presented before me, that I know will certainly not just warm bodies, but warm hearts on cold days. This is what it takes to be a part of that team. The team that actually transforms the world. Sure, they could win the Super Bowl, and hopefully they will learn not to become stars in doing so. The Jamaican bobsled team never really did become anything more than a great team. They transformed their sport, but they didn't change the world completely, but they changed enough of it to make sure that other young people had a chance to participate. But the big team, the old team, the A team, or the D team, the disciples team, that's the team that 2,000 years later, we're still talking about a bunch of nobodies. We're still talking about a bunch of nobodies. And not once did any of them become a star. But they made a difference in this world. One day at a time. One day at a time. And at some point in time, everyone in the team leads. Everyone becomes that person that we need to move us forward. Keep our heads in the present and let the day's worries be sufficient for the day. It's worked for the Vikings. It worked for the Jamaican bobsled team. It's worked for everybody who's ever succeeded. But in this case, it tells us what it takes to be a church. A church where children can be called, as Samuel was. A church where people who think they're obscure can be called, as Philip was. A church where each one of us has had a chance to serve and has served. And again, we're not large, but we've had a large influence. It is what you do when you believe. And if you will permit me one last song, I can't help but end with this one, which was sung by a nobody, literally, and became quite a tune around our world a few years ago.